So, my last video maybe came out a bit controversial. Looking at how many people watched the video over the last 2 to 3, 4 days ago, the like and dislike ratio as seen here is kinda, 50-50. And I thought maybe that's because I have a shitty mic and being not that good at editing. Maybe I'm just...
I'm retarded?
But nah, that's not it comparing to my other 2 best videos. As you see, they are exactly as shitty edited as the last one. But then, it struck me.
You eat all my beans, nigga!
I looked on some of the comments and one struck me. Exactly this one comment. Yeah, so the thing is, I think criticizing big companies for half-baked products and other shitty things is very much needed. But I really love Pokemon more than anything in my life, from entertainment and so on. But being only negative in the community is shitty in general. But also might drive potential fans away from the franchise. And yeah, I watch a lot of YouTube as I'm a homestuck schizo nerd. And I see a pattern in the Poketubers and Nintendo YouTubers in general. Either they avoid any shit talking and being overly faking their reactions and being overly positive to get views, or either they are overly negative to the point people don't see the positive points in the content. So I decided today to make a video about the good side in Pokemon. So let's talk about the best thing ever in Pokemon. So there is, I believe right now, to this day, 1025 Pokemon, and I don't think any other franchise has managed to make this many compelling and different character designs. And I'm not even talking about the trainers included. So why is it that I can remember every single Pokemon almost, by name, by type, etc. and even their shape? Like, I make a really stupid point right now, but show me 10 random characters from the beloved GTA franchise and 20 from Pokemon as Outlined Shadows. I will probably get every Pokemon and trainer right, as long as I played the games they were in. At the same time struggle with GTA. Why? In GTA, still while being these great written characters with different personalities, the Pokemon ones have just these outstanding designs to them. Every one of them is different, in its own personal way, and that's just fantastic. And yeah, it's a pretty stupid point to make, like GTA and Pokemon are very different games and they try to achieve very different things, but think about it, it really do be like that. You get my point or not? And yeah, sure, we got some repeat designs as like with Tauros and Buffaland and Lovdix and Alomomola, but that brings me to the next points. I believe the Gen 5 Pokemon were shown in this similar way to the previous Gen 1s, as they may show convergent evolution. Basically, the difference in a bird in the USA compared to a bird in Poland. Yeah, sure, they're both birds. What can be so different about them? They live in different climates, terrain, with different food sources, different dangers to consider. So they adapted. They're both similar, but they're different from each other. And that's what they intended with the Unova region designs of Pokemon. A fresh start, a different continent, as it said that the Unova region is far away from the Japanese style regions. And the same, but a little different thing came with Alola. A not too subtle callback to Kanto with the original forms of Pokemon and characters. But different enough to call it a very varied and own experience. And the themes become more obvious in different regions of Pokemon, as Kanto and The Planet Then sequel, Johto, showed a theme of modernism and tradition. Hoenn stumbled upon a theme of creationism, as in the legendaries representing the creation of the earth, land and sky, and also stumbling into ecology with the bad themes of the regions. And it comes in the new generations as well, as Scarlet and Violet have their whole games based on school and bullying, and the more obvious ones based again on culture of the country, based in the Pokemon as with Galar, with the whole football pseudo-fan shtick and punk music in general because it started in England. And that's not talking about the best part. Playing in these worlds gives you an unfamiliar feeling of, yeah, I know the place, but also a feeling of being in a different and cool to explore whole new multiverse. Yeah, for someone out of the Pokemon franchise loop, like with some of my friends, they might think Pokemon is easy or, as I heard from my best friend, only spamming super effective attacks and that's it. There's nothing more to it. But actually, there's lots more to find and consider creating a Pokemon team. EVs, IVs, breeding, health items, abilities, attacks and their secondary effects, and there are lots of more things like egg moves and hidden abilities which I don't really even understand how they really work, as I'm only a casual player. Yeah, sure, the type chart is important too and can give you an advantage, but really it takes almost all of these things to consider. There's over 1k Pokemon right now, and you have to consider being almost every one of them your opponent. And the best part, you're free to do it any way you like it. No restrictions. You have this 800 Pokemon or so in the new games with DLC mods included, which you are free to use and in which way ever you imagine, as long as they can learn the move, have the ability, etc. But still, having this much freedom and options in a monster catching game is simply, in my opinion, unbeaten. That's why it sticks so long after even coming a lots of other franchises in monster catching games with Pokemon. The other ones are just kinda like, yeah. I have to give credit here the most, I think. Even if I personally like some of these ideas introduced, and I don't like the others as well. Pokemon has many little revolutions in their games, especially lately. For example, the shift from 2D to 3D, which seems obvious, but what are the more controversial, so to say, things introduced? Gimmicks. Some are great, like with terrestrialization in my opinion, some are kind of stupid like with Dynamaxing, and some have a lot of fans, but I don't really like them in my opinion, like with Mega Evolution. But that's just my opinion. It doesn't matter if people still enjoy it. Other things like with switching the settings up a bit. Until Gen 5, Pokemon was almost a Japanese only influenced world. Later it just explored the US, Europe and Hawaii even. And speaking of Alola in mind, all of us are a whole experiment for the franchise. No gyms, Totem Boss Pokemon, Z-moves, regional forms of old Pokemon, and we also should talk about the DLC. This is just so much better than the basic third version of a game, which added and changed only a few things. The DLCs, on the other hand, have opened up different new parts of the map and even added old Pokemon and even a few completely new ones. And don't forget, as I would call them personally, mainline spin-off games. Games that inherit the basic of Pokemon and don't completely put them on their heads like with Ranger, Dungeons, Snap or even Pokemon Channel on the GameCube. Game Freak surely at least tries something new and isn't stagnant. Some things may work, others not, but that's not the whole point, really, I'm making. It's something fresh, you know. They're always trying to put something new in their games. And that's just a few of the positive sides of things that come to my mind when I think about the good side of Pokemon. Honestly, I love these little creatures. And I still think the games, especially lately, have the right to be criticized a fair bit. But let's don't forget, you have the right to enjoy them, and so do I. And similarly, we have the right to demand a better experience. Like in the end, Pokemon is just a company, and sure, I believe they have lots of passionate people in their offices. But in the end, they need to make a profit. But that's just how the world works. Otherwise we would have Pokemon games for free. No microtransactions included. I hope to make some more videos in the future talking more about both sides of the coin. But maybe in 2 parts, as this video is getting overly long, I believe. Anyway, I stop yapping now. See ya!